Hi, so for my outline for weeks 1, 2, and 3, I covered the things that stood out to me in the reading. I'll start off with week 1, chapters 1 and 18. I really like the definition of the family life education found in this chapter. It says, we define outreach family life education as any educational activity occurring outside a traditional school classroom setting, usually involving adults, that is designed to strengthen relationships in the home and foster positive individual, couple, and family development. Such education comprises many topics, from marriage education to parenting skills, from stress and anger management to strategies for adapting following divorce, and occurs in many venues. This was a great definition to me because it helped me understand more so what family life education is. That it's not only education given in school in a proper setting, but it can be given at home or in any other venue. And that it helps with marriage, family relationships, stress and anger management. It's really all in, I forget the word, all in, you know what I'm saying. Later in that chapter, it says that what I wrote in my outline is that we need to use what we have now to help family life education become more prevalent in the lives of people around us. I think that a lot of people haven't really heard of family life education or don't know that it can really help them, but it's something that I think that we, as learning about family life education, need to share with others so they can know that they do have this tool to help strengthen their family life. In week 2, we had chapter 2 as the reading. And in my outline, I wrote about preventative education and how interesting it is to me. I wrote, I feel like most of the time in my life, there have been more therapeutic remediation ways of thinking. There's so many different ways to educate and to think, and so it's interesting to read that. In the past semesters, I've learned about the ABCX model, and it's cool to me that I'm able to learn about this theory, but also add other things to it. So when they talked about a family life program and the importance of that, it's cool adding all these different theories into the knowledge that I have. And one of the most important quotes to me in this chapter, in chapter 2, says, in all of this process, it is important to remember that adult audiences usually have already formed their opinions about many topics we address, and in many cases have real-life experiences to support them. I think as family life educators, we can't act like we know everything because we don't. We can't act like we have every single answer because we don't. It's important to listen, I think, in any type of communication, but especially as a family life educator, to listen to those, especially adults who already have their opinions, and be willing to try to understand them better. And then to both be open, to make sure that the person that we're educating is open to listen and to kind of maybe not change their way of thinking, but at least be open to changing their way of thinking so that they can learn something from the family life educator. It's different with children because they don't have as strong as opinions, but with adults, we all have our opinions from our own experiences. Another thing that stood out to me in this chapter is that there's a lot of planning that goes into family life education. I think it's important that we don't just go and talk to somebody without planning. We need to have all of our sources, all of our thoughts all compacted so that we can share them with others and make sure that they know that we're professional and that we know what we're talking about, but also that we're willing to listen and understand what they're saying. In week 3, for chapters 16 and pages 13 through 23 in Appendix A, I liked what Elias and Miriam, sorry, I don't know why I'm struggling with these words, said. He said, liberal education produced a person who is literate in the broadest sense, intellectually, morally, spiritually, and aesthetically. I think this is really important to master. There are other characteristics that are important to have to be a good family life educator or person in general. I think it's important that we're kind and that we're willing to, like I said, willing to listen, but also we just come off not boastful, and not like we know everything, but kind and gentle and willing to be a friend also. Like I said earlier, it's important that we don't boast of the things that we know, but instead just listen to them. Every single type of family life educator has a different way of thinking and a different experiences to back up their thoughts. However, if we come with an open mind also, I think it's a great way to strengthen and help others. I hope that I can use the collaborator approach instead of just stating everything I know. I want to allow the audience to be able to learn for themselves and to be able to apply the things to themselves and their own experiences instead of me just throwing information at them like a lecture. One of the quotes in this reading said, "Family life educators must be clear about what they want to accomplish and why, so that appropriate goals and objectives can be created. Preceding goals and objectives are a sense of vision and mission." I think goals are so important, and if we don't have something for the people that we're educating to learn, or not to learn, but to change about their lives, then really what we're teaching them won't have as big of an effect. But if we have them set a goal before, or if we are clear about what we want them to learn and want them to do with their lives, the things that we teach them will be way stronger than they would be without that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was marketing. Marketing is so important when it comes to family life education. We have to know what we're trying to, in a way, sell to our audience. For example, during the workshop, we all have a different product we're trying to sell. Me and my partner are doing for new parents and their journey through strengthening marriage, through that while being new parents or expecting. And so we're trying to sell that in a way. And through marketing, also having those points exactly, so that they know exactly what they're getting themselves into in a way. You know, they can see on the flyers or through word of mouth exactly what they're going to be getting. The last thing I wanted to say really quickly was in Appendix A, it talked about the principle of integrity. I think it was really interesting. We need to make sure that we're honest as family life educators, but also honest as people, as parents and then children, so that we can trust each other through honesty. Anyways, hope that this was interesting, that you learned from my outline. Thanks.